Hey
Hey
guys.
guys, welcome to Brave Communication part number 2.
Yes.
Here is Tatiana. She's gonna share with us a couple more tools that will help us and empower us as leaders because yes, you are the leader because you first of all you leading yourself. You're incredible. I just want to let you know how amazing you are. And then probably you lead a couple more people. I don't know if it's your loved one, spouse, family, at work, anywhere else, or just people looking at you, or maybe on social media you have one person who is following you. Good job. You need to learn how to communicate with them to avoid misunderstanding and offense.
Not just to avoid it, but also how to come out of those situations feeling closer and having more understanding of what went wrong and how you can improve your communication skills.
Here you go. That's
So-
why she's going to be teaching because she's so incredible at this.
You didn't see the outtakes, no. So, what we're going to focus on first is when you come across a difficult situation or when someone comes to you with a problem, it's so easy for us to want to fix it. You know, be like, I know the answer, I know what to say, that you're wrong, this is right. But we need to realize that most people don't want to be fixed, but they just want to be heard. And I'm not saying that there isn't a situation in which people do need help and they do need counseling, and I'm not saying that we should never do that, but I'm saying oftentimes we forget to listen first and we jump right into giving advice or saying they're wrong or correcting, but often a lot of people want to be heard before they want to be fixed.
Let me ask you, how do you know that? Just guess.
Personal experience.
Yes, as you listen to this, and maybe you are the parent or you are the one who is counseling, this is your lifestyle or this is your job or something else. And when people come to you right away, you just like, okay, I know the answer. And I learned it that sometimes children told me, Mom, I just need you to listen. I know what to do, but I need to share my emotions. I just need you to listen. So, and that would be something that, and again, if you're leading any ministry or if you are even, if you're leading ministry and people come talk to you, first of all, I would encourage you to ask, are you coming for the advice? Are you coming for me, you want me to listen to you? Do you want me to say something on that? Or just listen today and maybe next time I'll give you some advice. That's how people will feel that they are heard and they are honored. Because sometimes we, as Tatiana said, we have the time when all what they need and I am the verbal processor. I just sometimes need to talk through, and when I'm talking to her about things, I'm hearing myself and I already know what I need to do. But if I'm talking through and she's right away start to give me, and I'm like, wait, I didn't even release everything. So, and I'm learning too how sometimes when people are verbally processing, I need to listen. So it would be a very, very good point for us to learn how to listen.
Yeah, and on the other end of that is when you're coming into a conversation and clearly communicate your expectations, like Mom mentioned, right now I just want you to listen, and then you could say I want advice later, or just to clearly communicate your expectations. And we don't want to be quick to respond or to react, but we want to be quick to listen.
Yes.
And instead of thinking of the response, we want to think actually about what they're saying and really truly know the person, because a lot of times when people are processing or they want to be heard, you actually get to see so much about that person and you get to know them more if you truly lean in and use active listening. So right now we're going to give you a few messages that can prohibit closer connection and can prohibit connection. Yes, exactly. And so the first it's called the it message, right? And when I first was introduced to these, I was like, wow, I use a lot of that, and so we're just going to show you a better way. But before we show a better way, we just want to bring to awareness some areas in which we can improve and kind of how these messages come across to other people and what that message is saying. So these it messages, they're very passive. And so an example of this is, it's really cold in here. What are you guessing the person wants to say? Go turn down the air conditioning. Or it would be nice if people responded to emails. And
it would be very nice.
And the translation is, go respond to your email.
Please.
But this person, this message, the sender, is assuming that you can read their mind. And it points to a sender who is afraid, insecure, or not able to own their own opinion. And they often can use humor or sarcasm. So it messages assumes that you can read my mind, and if you don't do what I want you to do, then you don't like me, or you're ignoring me, or you're mean, or whatever, you know? But so you're not clearly telling them what you want, but you're assuming that they can guess it. So let's not do that. The second one is the you message. Now this is even worse.
But it's a classical example.
It is being on both ends of this. It's just not fun. So the you message is very indirect. Well, it's very direct. It's very accusing. So let me give you a few examples. So the you message says that you better get your act together. You're lazy. You didn't do the dishes. You're late. And so the reason why we're saying it's not the best message to use is because it creates this volley back and forth of, yeah, well, you did this and you did that, and it doesn't create an invitation for intimacy. It's an anti-intimacy message, and it makes someone become defensive and not want to talk to you. If someone comes up and says, hey, well, you did this and you did that and you're lazy, first of all, you're attacking their character, and although they may be acting like they're lazy, doesn't mean that they actually are. Yeah. And so we just want to be careful with our words, and just communicate with love, and not.
Or sometimes people, and sometimes people saying, you're always doing this, or you never did doing this, and that's other two words that you need to watch out if they're in your vocabulary. Take them out. Because those two words, it's like an amplifier in a bad way, because it's basically exaggerating things. It's basically lying. If you're gonna, we can call it like, oh, exaggeration, but the bottom line is the root of the exaggeration. It's a lying. You want to make yourself look so. That's your fault. So avoid those words and choose to connect instead of disconnect.
Yeah, and choose to take ownership like we mentioned. So these next messages are what you do want to send. They're called the I messages. So they're the I am cold, can you please turn down the air? They're I am frustrated or angry when you don't do the dishes when you say you will. Or I feel frustrated or dishonored when you don't respond to my emails because it makes scheduling hard for me. So you're clearly saying to the person what you feel, and you're taking ownership for your own actions, and you're saying how their actions or attitudes or emotions are affecting you.
That's a good point.
It's not accusing, but it creates an open conversation, and it actually makes the person want to talk to you rather than just to close up.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you the formula for the I message. So the I message has in total 4 parts, but the fourth is like a little bonus, if you're feeling really brave. So the first part is the feeling. So what are you feeling and why? The second one is the non-blaming description of my observation of the problem. And we have to keep in mind that in any situation, it's often not just one person who's at fault. And once again, we can't just blame all of our problems on one person. We got to keep it to that specific situation, keep it in that point of time, and say, okay, this is how I observed what went down. It's just my observation. You're not saying this is a be-all, end-all. So your feeling, your description. The third part is the way that their behavior, attitude, or response affects you. How did it personally affect you? So here's the formula. I feel, explain what is it that you felt when you said or did or acted like this, because it made me feel like, or it made me think about, blah, blah, blah. So I feel blank when
you
blank because blank.
And it's not a curse word. It's just you put your own example.
So it clearly communicates to them your feelings when they do a certain action and why. So they can clearly understand, oh, okay, so when I say in this way, you think of this because of your upbringing or because of your culture, it seems offensive or hurtful, where they may not have actually intended it that way at all. So it allows the person receiving the message to clearly understand how their actions or words are affecting you, because you're being direct in addressing it rather than pushing it down or being passive or ignoring it until it bubbles up and over.
And believe me, you will. If you're not going to communicate everything what you need to communicate in an honorable way, it's like a pressure cooker. It will be staying under the press, all of the emotions, all of that annoying feelings that you didn't address or you didn't ask right away. And in a less appropriate time for you, it would explode on people that you love. So that's why it's so important to learn how to communicate, learn how to deal with the hard stuff, and that you can move on.
And so the fourth point, those are great points. The fourth point is saying, so could we, or so could I. So you're creating a solution. So what's the solution to the problem? Because you are a very self-aware individual, you know your emotions, and you partner with Holy Spirit, with wisdom, and you find a solution for the problem. So that way, from this point or this conflict, this argument, you can grow closer to each other rather than tear the relationship apart. So, like I mentioned before about actually listening and understanding what the person is saying, we're going to talk about reflective listening. And so, why reflective listening is so important is even though we could be sitting there and listening to the person, we're not actually grasping what they're saying. And here also comes in play the selective listening, right? So where you're hearing what someone says, but you're just picking up on a few words and you're like, all right, I heard this, and then you assume the rest. It's kind of like when you read sometimes and you're assuming the end of the sentence. And so reflective listening actually...
Or you're prophetic and you're guessing what they're going to say.
Yeah, but it's better to actually
be there
listen.
And it's not working either.
Not always, no. And so reflective listening, you're actually listening to what the person is saying and repeating it back to them, which allows that person to really feel heard, loved, and seen. And you actually gives you the responsibility to repeat back what they said. So you actually have to remember what they said to be able to repeat it back. And so it allows for things to be cleared up. It allows for that person to be heard and loved and to be understood too. So we're going to do an example of this. So I'm going to set the scene, and I'm the ministry leader, and she is serving under me.
The helper me.
And so I'm organizing events, and I've been like having them planned for months, but I forgot to tell her, and I've been doing this a few times, and I'll tell her like a month in advance or maybe like 3 weeks away, and I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we have this event coming up, this conference, this thing, and she's the one who's in charge of all the details. And so she's going to relate to me her feelings in the iMessage that we talked about. And then I'm going to have to use reflective listening and repeat it back to her.
Clarifying, do you want all of my feelings or just some?
Let's, for the purpose of examples, let's keep it.
Okay. I just want to make sure because I can give her all of my feelings. This is what I feel. I feel frustrated, annoyed, and very annoyed. Like, very, very, very. Because, number one, the reason why, because I'm in charge of all the little details. And time and details, they usually go together. And when the event is in a couple of weeks, it's not going to come the way that Kingdom Way is supposed to come. And I don't have resources enough. I don't have people enough to make this stuff happen. So that's what I feel.
All right. And the way that you would respond is to say, so what I hear you say is you feel frustrated and very, very annoyed when I don't give you enough notice of a conference or event because you don't have enough time to get the people, the resources together in order to throw a kingdom event and do it to the best of your ability.
She actually heard me.
See, there you go. And even that alone will impress people so much because you're obviously doing everything for everyone's affirmation. Just kidding. So
you don't.
No, but it will show the person that you actually heard them, that you're being intentional in loving them, and intentional in actually growing your relationship and your connection with them. You're not just like
and changing
listening.
Your mistakes.
Yeah, and it is such a game changer. And the last thing that we just want to go over again is active listening, like we mentioned, to actually listening to what they're saying, but also to the emotion behind it. What are they feeling? And then we just use reflective listening, though, is like one of my favorite things. That is this what I heard you say? It helps when there's a misunderstanding or there's just simply confusion and you truly don't understand what the person's trying to say. You're relate to them, okay, this is what I heard you say. Is that correct? Because a lot of times people will say things, but their tone is so much different than their message.
Or
And-
they're Russian and they speak very
Or their accent.
passion.
Or the tone. Like, the tone is a big thing because sometimes maybe it's the Russian thing, but she'll be talking to me and right away when she says my name and that tone, I'm like, I'm in trouble. But then she'll say something completely normal and I'm like, oh, okay. But it scares you for a minute. So it clears up misunderstandings and it's the best thing. Don't assume, just ask. Keep it simple. Keep life fun. Partner with love, with self-control, and that who is Jesus, and with wisdom. Use reflective listening. Use the I message. Own your emotions. Own your feelings. Use these great communications tools, and your relationships are going to go so much deeper, and people around you are going to feel so loved and heard by you.
Yes, so as we're sharing this, just the simple tools that will help you not only in our church environment, in our church family, but in everyday life. And we encourage everyone, we doing as a leaders too, so to don't assume, ask instead of assuming, and deal with your stuff. We all have different baggage when we came into to the church, to any new relationship. We all have a different life, and sometimes it doesn't matter what she's saying, but I'm filtering everything through my filters. And those filters, sometimes they connect to my past experiences, maybe in different church, maybe in different, even my childhood, something happened to me or somebody said something in a different tone, and I got broken, offended, whatever happened to me, but I'm filtering. And it doesn't matter how she would say, I would still receive that way. So that's why we, as Abundant Life, we believe in a healing ministry. We believe in a freedom prayer. So that we have so many different ministries that can help you to get unhooked, to get all the filters clean up and connect with your spirit, soul, and body. Connect with your emotions. Let your heart be fully healed. That we can do this life together and in an honorable way, in a kingdom way. And there is no condemnation there. I encourage all of my leaders and my leaders who are under me in different ministries, especially in Soza ministry. They go through that, like I call it a regular check. You know, if you go to dentist every 6 months for the cleansing of your teeth, how much more, I believe, in every 6 months, a year, to go to check it out if there is anything else, like if there's anything bubbling up, if what is that feeling bubbling up that I'm dealing with or I'm annoyed with, so that Holy Spirit will heal us, to bring us to, from, as Bible tells us, from glory to glory, so that we can represent Him well and we will become the kings, mothers and fathers in this earth, and teaching and bringing others. So we thank you guys, we honor you, we thank you for bringing your gifts to the table, and we're praying that Holy Spirit will breathe on these gifts, and together we will bring His kingdom in this area, in New Jersey and in the United States, that we will shine bright. We love you guys.
Love you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.